The music cut out so sharply it seemed like I'd snapped it in half with my own hands. There was that coppery taste at the back of my throat, my fingers rigid on the piano, trembling, damp and icy at once. The silence, hot and suffocating, wrapped around me and would not let go. I felt the weight of the jury behind me, faces out of focus, unmoving, expectant. The piano's keys stared back, a jagged grin, taunting, not forgiving. One of them spoke, their voice bland, detached, as if they were looking right past me. "Would you like to begin again?" I was 17, and I clung to the piano bench like it would anchor me in the storm of myself. I nodded mutely. My sheet music seemed to blur. I tried to summon from my hands the first phrase of Beethoven, but nothing happened. My heart thrashed. I could almost hear all the hours, all the lessons, every hope and sacrifice, my mother's pride, crushing into that awful wordless void. That's all I managed before my own voice failed. I stood, clumsy, empty, no applause, no shouting, just that echoing silence, sticky and raw. I walked out into the foyer, past my mother's anxious stare, my head down. I didn't speak. Outside, a fine, cold rain soaked my shirt as I walked home, block after block, shoes splashing and leaving vague half-prints. I didn't turn back. Dinner that night played out in silence. A limp pile of broccoli, pale, dry chicken, my father behind his newspaper, whiskey glass half tilted, my sister hunched into her phone. I tasted none of it. Later, in my bed, the silence pressed in again, strangling, humiliating. Years of work counted out in silent suffering. If I couldn't play for them, could I play for anyone? Days passed, grey and unremarkable. School bells, plates scraped clean, my father's muttered disappointment. He said it once in the hall, should have stuck to math, thousands play, 1 in 100 wins. I barely went near the piano as if it might bite. My confidence folded inward, sharp and useless like a tin can. My mother only asked once, her voice soft, holding a peeled potato, "Have you tried to practice?" I shook my head too fast. "It's not worth it." She gave a little sigh, the sound of something thinning, wearing out. "It was a gift." I left the kitchen hollow. I sat in my room, hands unoccupied, useless. It was hunger that dragged me downstairs, not some higher search for meaning. My mother was sliding an apple pie into the oven. Cinnamon and brown sugar hung shimmering in the air. I watched her, watched the measured rhythm. The world, at least here, was gentle. "Can I try?" I said. The words surprised both of us. She wiped her hands, then nodded, passing over flour. "Your turn." I chopped at the cold butter. Mixing dough was coarse, awkward. The apples stuck to the knife, skins curling. Yet as I pressed the mess into a shell, the repetition soothed. I brushed the crust with egg, watched the pale dough start to rise under heat. When the pie came out, we cut into it right away. My father grunted through his bite. My mother was a little gentler. Next time, not so much cinnamon. I didn't care. The crust broke under my fork, the apple's tang warm on my tongue. This was something anyway, not much but something. Pie became cookies, became muffins, became messy late-night scones. I baked after days I couldn't face the piano room or endure sidelong looks at school. The kitchen filled with the scent of vanilla and hope, bowls and spoons stacked, flour everywhere. My mother sometimes hovered in the doorway, quiet but smiling at my stubbornness. No one else understood. My father rarely even touched dessert. My sister snorted at my efforts. The neighbors accepted brownies with polite smiles but little comment. Still, I pressed on and the effort began to heal my nerves. Baking was less an act of performance, more a process, one ingredient at a time, one quiet result. It was during the spring of my senior year that something nudged me further. I saw a battered flyer for a pastry workshop, Saturday Midtown Culinary. I didn't ask permission. I stuffed a subway card in my pocket, navigated my way through the rumble of the D train, wandering into a gleaming kitchen anchored by a thick-set chef with a French accent. He shaped pastry with a slow certainty, folding in butter, rolling it smooth and glossy. I wanted that peace, that discipline. I wanted to feel my own hands sure of something, anything. When I trudged home, flour on jeans, hair a mess, my mother needled. "Any news from the music program?" Her voice held a thin edge. I shrugged, retreated. At midnight, my first solo attempt at croissants collapsed, dough ripped, butter everywhere. I threw it out, ashamed. Within a week the envelope came. "We regret to inform you," another failure humming in the hollows of the house. Later my father glared across the table. "What now?" "No more chasing rainbows, grow up." I'd already decided. I want to bake, I want to be a pastry chef. My sister burst into mean laughter. "You'll make cupcakes forever, wow," my father scoffed. "That isn't a job." "Don't be foolish." But the idea had taken root. It was all I'd been good at for months. That night after everyone slept, I combed the internet, best bakeries, night school, open jobs, tuition. In the dull blue of morning, I told my mother. She only slid a crumpled 40 across the counter. "If you mean it, then here." My father's words hung around me like a fog. No one gets anywhere with a hobby. I tuned him out, put on the only chef's coat I could find, and reported for my first class. Chef Paquette was relentless. His lessons were hard-edged. Dough tough as leather, ruined caramel, ganache that split and seized. He called me out in front of everyone. Flat, soggy, start again. Every mistake was fixed with burned fingers, another batch, another try. But when I finally produced a tart with snap or a loaf with right crumb, he'd give a little nod. A year felt like a decade. I biked across the city for night shifts at a bakery, temping at the school during the day. I was poor and always tired. My family mostly ignored me. Sometimes I'd wake with flour still on my face, ached to the bones but oddly at peace. I never truly felt talented, but I was stubborn. That mattered more most days. Culinary school eventually ended with a bland note. "Hard worker, competent, will go far with focus." I applied to every bakery I could find. The no S piled up. My mother offered me a job at her friend's shop, but I held out. Broke one afternoon, I slunk into a cramped cafe downtown, craving bread and heat. The owner, Lillian, spotted the chef's coat balled up in my bag. "You bake." "Show me," she said. I washed my hands, made biscotti, quick, careful, nervy work. She tasted. "Crunch is good, almonds too strong," she said. "You come tomorrow." So I did. $8 an hour, cash under the table, cleaning pans after closings. Lillian let me experiment after hours, peach scones, almond tarts, cream puffs. Sometimes a customer would ask who made the pastry behind the glass. I tried to play it cool, though my chest swelled. Eventually, I saved enough to rent a tiny, crooked room. My mother sent texts, short, careful reminders. My father never called. The kitchen became my church. Early mornings with burnt sugar, long nights softening with dough, city lights blinking between the grime. Years blurred past. I got tougher, smarter. I watched what people came for, what they left behind. My hands stopped shaking. I started dreaming, a place of my own, my creations done my way, when I found the abandoned spot in the East Village, a rusted storefront with sun pooling through the grime. I called the landlord, begged, haggled. I poured my last $600 into rent and borrowed what I could. Lillian gave me old pans racks. I named it Ember, part hope, part stubbornness. The first weeks were brutal. The oven sputtered, the eclairs fell. Customers trickled in most days, but then one Sunday a food blog posted a glowing review, blood orange madeleines, astonishing sweetness, depth. By afternoon, a line stretched outside. Recognition grew, quick and wild. Interviews, pop-ups, magazine spreads. I kept to the kitchen. I hired 2, then 4, then 10. Each day I made something new, a tart with thyme, a cookie with miso, another twist. Ember became a small fixture. One fall, my mother sent a letter, short, almost embarrassed. "Aunt Joan saw your bakery in a magazine, thought you should know your sisters well." My father called months later, awkward, soft. "How's business?" He let his pride slip through just a bit. 7 years after walking out on that stage, I got a text from my sister. "Dad's retirement Sunday, you coming?" The house on the old block looked smaller, the air different, almost kind. I packed a crate of Ember pastries, caramel tarts, green tea cakes, flaky rounds brushed with honey. Inside, the family milled, wary but curious. My mother hugged me a little tighter. My father, slower, older, hovered at the edge. I set the box on the table. My sister announced he brought the bakery. People gathered, uncertain. I sliced tarts, broke bread, set out the little cream cakes. I saw doubt in their eyes, old disappointments recalled like muscle memory. But then Uncle Simon took a bite, stopped. That's ridiculous." Chins lifted, forks moved. My father chewed, frowned, then smiled, a real steady smile. "You made all this." I did. The words fit at last. The room warmed up. I laughed with cousins, answered questions, let people care for the first time. My father clapped my shoulder, voice rough. "Took me too long. I'm proud of you, Jacob." The years of bruising, of rejection, wove quietly into the present, no longer raw, just part of the making. The night after, walking out beneath the old street lamps, snow dusted my sleeves. I felt myself as I really was, son, baker, no longer broken. I'd come back, not to the boy who failed on stage, but as someone different, wounded, resolved, and sweeter for it. And finally, I let myself enjoy it.